starting this career transition journey, everybody told me I should do it, but I am kind of a shy person. It took me a lot of courage to cold contact people. So what I started to do is to contact friends of friends and asking them to introduce someone that they trusted to me. So that's how I made my first step. Usually the way I went was to schedule a 15 to 30 minute informational interview, just to interview their job, what they do, and how they like their job. Do they have any tips for newcomers who want to join their field? And so after that first step, I started to get more comfortable of reaching out to people. I read about 20 books about career transitions, whether it's a transition from academia to industry, industry to industry. Once I know where I need to go, then I can figure out what I need to prepare.
There was actually an Australian version of PyCon that was happening in Sydney. And at PyCon, there was just kind of a whiteboard that was looking for work. And I put my name and my number and my details on that board. And then a few days later, I received a call from my then-to-be boss. He asked me to come in for a kind of casual chat. They just kind of asked me about all of my research activities. So what I'd been doing, what I'd understand, what processes I did during my research. Didn't ask me anything specifically about data science. A few months later, my boss actually revealed to me that they don't really mind so much what I know, but it's more about my openness and my willingness to learn. So after that informal chat, it was about 5 minutes later with my suitcase walking along to the train station that I received a call, and he basically said, if you're willing to move up to Sydney, then we've got a job for you. And that was that.
What I've kind of done throughout my time is just take on every opportunity that comes my way. So I actually started my science communication journey here in Sydney Observatory as a tour guide. And as I continued as a tour guide, I'd get opportunities. Like I remember one time my boss came to me after a day shift. She's like, "You want to stay for an extra hour or two and be on play school?" Like, yeah, I would love to do that. And following more opportunities, with each opportunity there comes even more. So I guess throughout my progression, I've just realized, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Let's keep going with this path.
Actually doing astronomy, you tend to do a lot of astronomy adjacent work. Things that actually give you lots of skill sets in things that are necessarily not specifically astronomy related. And that's actually a great boon for a lot of employers, right? They're looking for people who have diverse skill sets, and suddenly you have this diverse skill set. So one of the things that you might want to really consider is making sure that you advertise that. An example for mine is I wrote a lot of codes. One of the codes I wrote from scratch to actually run on HPC systems, and it was actually one of the things that came up in the job interview for HPC systems, and I was expanded upon it, and they were really impressed.
So I would say networking is really important, but it's also really hard. To be honest, it's something that is very hard to do without it feeling forced. For me personally, I've done a lot of networking mostly through my jobs and people who I've met in companies that I've worked for, but it is challenging. And I would say even when I moved back to Australia, I felt like I needed to start again from scratch. I have used LinkedIn a lot, probably not so much for professional networking, but more as it's a great research tool for understanding what jobs are available, what people are looking for. But I think also that setting yourself to open to opportunities and then having people reach out to you has been really helpful for me. And I find people do reach out and often do look at your sort of background and understand if you'd be a good fit for their company or not.
Like I said, I've been with the observatory quite a long time as a guide while I was studying my undergraduate degree and then my postgraduate degrees. And so when I finished my PhD, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I kept working at the observatory and within the university for a little while after that PhD. And the position came up at the observatory, and so I applied for it. So I did know, clearly knew that there was a position coming up and it was available. And I knew I had some skills that would be relevant to it.
So I applied for 3 jobs, including data scientist roles, both formally and informally. The role that I got at Geoscience Australia was actually not so much data science, but managing satellite data. So it's actually, I felt like it's actually quite similar to the work that I've been doing in astronomy, and I can totally see how I can contribute to that project. And so I applied and got an interview and got the offer within a couple of weeks. So that actually moved quite quickly. That I only got maybe 2 weeks of break between my postdoc and starting a new job at Geoscience Australia.
One of the big challenges if you're trying to transition from astronomy into data science is selling yourself properly. Because all of that said, it's oftentimes going to be the case that when you're applying for a job and there's 100 other applicants, they might see someone who has a degree in data science as more attractive than someone who has a PhD in astronomy. Because they're hiring a data scientist, this person did a degree in data science, it just seems to match. So a lot of getting your foot in the door is really just selling yourself correctly. And yeah, a CV for astronomy looks much different than a resume for data science.
I've been lucky enough to get a job straight out of uni and not have to change jobs since. But in terms of getting the job, I had a lot of support and advice from peers that I'd met through university and through the National Mathematics Summer School. Once I decided to leave academia, I was certain that I was going to work at Google.